The death of Pinina, a close associate of notorious Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar, remains a topic of intrigue. This video explores the circumstances surrounding her demise and examines whether she divulged information about Escobar's whereabouts before her death, based on accounts from former police officer Hugo Aguilar.
Un agente me llama por radioteléfono, yo lo estaba observando al terminar el taxi. Llegó y me dijo, jefe, observe ese taxi. Dijo, mire ese tipo todo mechudo y barbado, se parece a Pablo Escobar.
Pinina, whose real name remains unknown, was a key figure in Pablo Escobar's Medellin cartel. As one of Escobar's trusted associates, she played a significant role in managing the cartel's operations and finances. Pinina's exact position within the organization is unclear, but her close relationship with Escobar suggests she was privy to sensitive information about his activities and whereabouts. Escobar, the infamous leader of the Medellin cartel, was responsible for a vast majority of the cocaine smuggled into the United States during the 1980s and early 1990s. His immense wealth and power allowed him to maintain a tight grip on his criminal empire, often through the use of violence and intimidation. Pinina's association with Escobar placed her in a precarious position, as she became a target for authorities seeking to dismantle the cartel. Despite the risks, Pinina remained loyal to Escobar and the cartel. She lived a life of luxury, residing in an upscale apartment building in the exclusive El Poblado neighborhood of Medellin. Her lifestyle and close proximity to Escobar made her a valuable source of information for authorities, who believed that capturing Pinina could lead them to the elusive drug lord. The authorities' surveillance operation and plan to capture Pinina. Colombian authorities, led by police officer Hugo Aguilar, launched a surveillance operation targeting Pinina in an effort to gather intelligence on Pablo Escobar's whereabouts. The operation began with the interception of phone conversations between Pinina's housekeeper and her boyfriend, who worked as a messenger in a small factory. During these conversations, the housekeeper mentioned that her boss, a mysterious man, rarely left the apartment and maintained a secretive lifestyle. This information piqued the interest of the authorities, who believed that the mysterious man could be Escobar himself or someone with close ties to the drug lord. Aguilar and his team devised a plan to use the housekeeper's boyfriend to gather more information about Pinina's residence and her possible connection to Escobar. They approached the boyfriend, offering him a reward of 200 million pesos for his cooperation. The boyfriend agreed to help, providing valuable details about the apartment building where Pinina lived and worked. To confirm the information provided by the boyfriend, Aguilar conducted a reconnaissance mission, disguising himself in casual clothing and accompanying the boyfriend to the neighborhood where Pinina's apartment building was located. During this mission, Aguilar observed Pinina's housekeeper calling out to the boyfriend from a third-floor window, further corroborating the boyfriend's account. Armed with this intelligence, Aguilar and his superiors began planning a raid on Pinina's apartment building. They aimed to capture Pinina alive, believing that she could provide crucial information about Escobar's location and the cartel's operations. However, they were aware of the challenges they faced, as the building was likely to be well guarded by Pinina's security personnel. To minimize the risk of detection, the authorities decided to use a Mercedes-Benz similar to the one seen entering the building, allowing them to blend in with the upscale surroundings. They also planned to mount surveillance on the building to determine the best time to strike, when Pinina's security might be less alert. The raid on Pinina's apartment building. On the day of the raid, Hugo Aguilar and his team put their plan into action. They positioned themselves near Pinina's apartment building in El Poblado, using several elegant cars to blend in with the upscale neighborhood. Aguilar led the operation from a Mercedes-Benz, closely resembling the one known to frequent the building. As they approached the building's entrance, Aguilar's team encountered their first obstacle, a security gate controlled by an electric fence. The team's success hinged on the gatekeeper's response to seeing the familiar Mercedes. To their relief, the gatekeeper opened the gate without hesitation, allowing the team to proceed. Once inside the compound, the team swiftly took control of the situation. One member of the squad immediately restrained the gatekeeper at gunpoint, while the rest of the team quickly surrounded the building. They knew that time was of the essence, as any delay could give Pinina's security personnel a chance to react. Aguilar and his team entered the building, focusing their attention on the third floor, where they believed Pinina's apartment was located. Upon reaching the third floor, they discovered that there were only two apartments, one on the right and one on the left. The team had to make a quick decision about which apartment to target. To breach the apartment's doors, the squad employed small seals of dynamite designed to break through locks. They strategically placed these explosives on both doors, hoping to create a diversion and catch Pinina off guard. However, the dynamite on the right door failed to ignite, while the one on the left door detonated successfully. As the explosion ripped through the left apartment's door, Pinina realized that the building was under attack. In a desperate attempt to escape, she leapt from the apartment's window, armed with a pistol tucked into the back of her waistband and a rifle in her hand. During the jump, Pinina lost grip of the rifle, and the impact of the fall from the third floor caused her to fracture her right arm and injure her forehead. Pinina's apartment was located on the third floor, but due to the building's design, the jump was equivalent to leaping from a 4-story height on the exposed side of the basement. Despite her injuries, Pinina managed to get up and attempted to flee to a waiting getaway car. However, she quickly realized that Aguilar's team had already surrounded the area, with agents pointing their guns at her and demanding her surrender. Cornered and desperate, Pinina rushed back into the building and began ascending the stairs. Aguilar received word that a woman and her children were emerging from the adjacent apartment, and he felt a wave of relief wash over him, knowing that they had narrowly avoided harming innocent civilians in the raid. As Pinina reached the top of the stairs, she found herself surrounded by Aguilar's team. Despite her injuries, she began firing her weapon at the officers with intense determination, even though her shots were inaccurate due to her reliance on her left hand. In the ensuing gunfight, Pinina sustained several gunshot wounds, including one to her right cheek, another to her head, and a final fatal shot to her chest, fired by Aguilar himself. Pinina's attempt escape and fatal shooting. As the raid on her apartment building unfolded, Pinina found herself in a desperate fight for survival. Despite being caught off guard by the explosion that breached her door, she quickly sprang into action, grabbing her weapons and making a daring escape attempt through the apartment's window. Pinina's leap from the third-floor window was a testament to her determination to evade capture. As she landed on the ground below, the impact left her with a fractured right arm and a gash on her forehead. The fall also caused her to lose grip of the rifle she had been carrying, leaving her with only a pistol tucked into the waistband of her pants. Injured but not deterred, Pinina scrambled to her feet and made a dash for her getaway car, which was parked nearby. However, as she approached the vehicle, she realized that Hugo Aguilar's team had already surrounded the area. Agents pointed their weapons at her, ordering her to surrender. Faced with the reality that her escape route was cut off, Pinina made a split-second decision to retreat back into the building. She rushed up the stairs, her injured arm hanging limply at her side, as she tried to formulate a new plan to evade capture. As she reached the top of the stairs, Pinina found herself face-to-face with Aguilar's team once more. Despite her injuries and the overwhelming odds against her, she refused to surrender. With her left hand, she drew her pistol and began firing at the officers, displaying a fierce determination to fight until the end. Pinina's gunfire was met with a hail of bullets from the authorities. The close-quarters combat was intense, with shots exchanging back and forth in the confined space of the stairwell. Pinina sustained multiple gunshot wounds during the firefight, including one to her right cheek and another to her head. Despite her valiant efforts, Pinina's injuries and the superior numbers of Aguilar's team proved too much to overcome. In the midst of the chaos, Aguilar himself fired the fatal shot that struck Pinina in the chest, ending the fierce gun battle and her life. As the echoes of the gunshots faded, an eerie silence descended upon the scene. Pinina lay motionless on the blood-stained stairs, her body bearing the marks of the violent confrontation that had just taken place. Aguilar and his team quickly moved in to secure the area and assess the situation. The information Pinina provided about Escobar's whereabouts before her death. In the immediate aftermath of the intense firefight that left Pinina mortally wounded, Hugo Aguilar and his team quickly shifted their focus to gathering any critical information she might possess about Pablo Escobar's location in the Medellin cartel's operations. Despite her grave injuries, the authorities knew that Pinina's knowledge could be the key to bringing down the notorious drug lord. As Pinina lay bleeding on the stairs, Aguilar and his officers approached her, urging her to cooperate in her final moments. "Where is Pablo?" they demanded, their voices filled with a mix of urgency and desperation. To their surprise, Pinina, in a faint and strained voice, revealed that Escobar was hiding in the Magdalena Medio region at a specific ranch. Pinina's revelation was a crucial piece of information that the authorities had been seeking for months. The Magdalena Medio region, known for its rugged terrain and dense forests, had long been suspected as a potential hideout for Escobar and his associates. With Pinina's confirmation, Aguilar and his team finally had a concrete lead to pursue. However, Pinina's cooperation came with a plea for her own life. "Please, save me," she begged, her voice barely audible amidst the chaos of the raid. The authorities, recognizing the value of the information she had provided, assured her that they would do their best to keep her alive. Seizing the opportunity, the officers pressed Pinina for more details about the cartel's operations. In her weakened state, she revealed the location of a cache of dynamite hidden in the municipality of La Estrella, providing specific coordinates for the authorities to investigate. As the gravity of her situation set in, Pinina's demeanor shifted. With a mix of resignation and bitterness, she looked at the officers and muttered, "You bastards, you're not going to let me live." Her words hung heavy in the air, a stark reminder of the violent and unforgiving nature of the world she had inhabited. Despite the efforts of Aguilar and his team to keep Pinina alive, her injuries proved too severe. As they continued to question her, she slipped into a state of shock, her body finally succumbing to the trauma it had endured. With her final breaths, Pinina had provided the authorities with invaluable information that could potentially lead to the downfall of Pablo Escobar and the Medellin cartel. The aftermath: Escobar's retaliation and the cyanide poisoning attempt. In the wake of Pinina's death and the valuable information she had provided, Hugo Aguilar and his team moved swiftly to act on the intelligence. They launched raids on the locations Pinina had revealed, hoping to catch Pablo Escobar and his associates by surprise. However, their efforts were met with mixed results. At the ranch in the Magdalena Medio region, where Pinina had indicated Escobar was hiding, the authorities found evidence of recent occupation, but no sign of the elusive drug lord himself. It appeared that Escobar had been tipped off about the impending raid and had managed to flee before the authorities could close in. Nevertheless, the raid yielded important documents and resulted in the deaths of 2 of Escobar's bodyguards. The information about the dynamite cache in La Estrella proved more fruitful. Acting on Pinina's coordinates, the authorities discovered and seized over 8,000 kilos of dynamite concealed in milk cans. This strike dealt a significant blow to the cartel's ability to carry out terrorist attacks and demonstrated the value of the intelligence Pinina had provided. Enraged by the loss of Pinina and the subsequent raids, Escobar sought to retaliate against the authorities. In a show of force, he orchestrated a car bomb attack in the affluent El Poblado neighborhood, targeting a police patrol. The explosion served as a grim reminder of the cartel's reach and its willingness to use violence to maintain its grip on power. Not content with this act of retaliation, Escobar devised a more insidious plan to strike at the heart of Aguilar's team. He organized a gathering of beautiful young women and sent them to the Carlos Hogan School, the base of operations for Aguilar's squad. The women were instructed to infiltrate the school and gather information about the officers' routines and vulnerabilities. Aguilar, ever vigilant, noticed the sudden influx of attractive women around the school and grew suspicious. He observed a pattern of young women accompanied by men who seemed out of place in the area. Trusting his instincts, Aguilar ordered his team to be on high alert and restricted access to the school. Undeterred, Escobar resorted to an even more sinister tactic. An infiltrator managed to slip into the school's kitchen and lace the soup intended for the officers with cyanide. Fortunately, the poisoning attempt was discovered before it could claim any lives. The officers who had consumed the soup experienced severe stomach pain and vomiting, with many requiring hospitalization. The cyanide poisoning attempt served as a chilling reminder of the lengths to which Escobar was willing to go to maintain his power and seek revenge against those who threatened his empire. It underscored the constant danger faced by Aguilar and his team as they worked tirelessly to bring the cartel to justice. Alternate theories and accounts of Pinina's death. While Hugo Aguilar's account of Pinina's death provides a compelling narrative, it is important to acknowledge that there are alternative theories and accounts surrounding the events that led to her demise. These divergent stories raise questions about the official version and offer different perspectives on the raid and its aftermath. One prominent alternative theory suggests that Pinina was not killed during the initial raid on her apartment building, but rather was captured alive and subsequently tortured by the authorities. According to this account, Pinina was taken to a police headquarters in the municipality of Bello, where she was subjected to brutal interrogation techniques in an effort to extract information about Pablo Escobar's whereabouts. Proponents of this theory claim that Pinina was tortured using various methods, including the use of a power drill and a technique known as waterboarding, in which her head was repeatedly submerged in water to simulate drowning. The interrogators would bring her to the brink of asphyxiation before allowing her to surface for air, only to repeat the process over and over again. Despite the alleged torture, Pinina reportedly refused to divulge the exact location of Escobar's hideout, claiming that she did not possess that knowledge. However, some accounts suggest that documents found in her possession during the raid provided valuable clues that allowed the authorities to narrow down their search to the Magdalena Media region. Another theory proposes that Pinina's death was not the result of a firefight with the authorities, but rather a deliberate execution. Some sources claim that Pinina was captured alive during the raid and subsequently killed in cold blood by the police. This version of events portrays her death as a cover-up, with the official account of a shootout being used to justify her killing. Supporters of this theory point to alleged inconsistencies in the official narrative and question the lack of concrete evidence supporting the claim that Pinina engaged in a prolonged gun battle with the authorities. They argue that the severity of her injuries and the circumstances surrounding her death raise suspicions about the true nature of the events that transpired. It is worth noting that these alternative theories and accounts are often based on rumors, secondhand information, and speculation. The lack of concrete evidence in the passage of time make it difficult to definitively prove or disprove these claims. However, their existence underscores the complex and murky nature of the conflict between the authorities and the Medellin cartel. Regardless of the specific details surrounding Pinina's death, her story remains a tragic and significant chapter in the larger narrative of the fight against drug trafficking in Colombia. Her alleged connection to Pablo Escobar and the valuable information she reportedly provided in her final moments have cemented her place in the annals of the country's tumultuous history.